All right, let's go ahead and get started. I had a lot of fun with kind of a goofy Halloween presentation. I don't know about you, I've been cooped up in my house for a long time, so I got a lot of joy out of putting together a Make Your Data Less Scary presentation. And we're gonna, just in this webinar, we're gonna look at some of the tools that are included in Qgiv's data package, and then we're gonna look at how you can use them and come up with some cool use cases and look at how those use cases can make your fundraising a little more effective. Before we dive into everything, just a couple little things. My name is Abby Jarvis. I'm part of the team over at Qgiv. If you're not familiar with us, we're an online fundraising platform, and our whole goal is to make you a more efficient fundraiser. If you are a Qgiv client, and it looks like I see a couple of you who are Qgiv clients. If you're a Qgiv client and you have questions about how any of this works, or if you'd like to see more kind of a one-on-one tour of these tools, or if you have any questions, just let me know. I'll get you in touch with our CX support team. They are a wonderful group of people. If you're not a Qgiv user, you're going to see a bunch of tools, and you're also going to see some cool like fundraising best practices. So you'll get some good takeaways out of this as well. And then just a couple little housekeeping things. I am recording this webinar and you're going to get a copy. I'll also send you a couple little useful resources that can help you dig more into using data well, using it efficiently, and how you can use different parts of the data that you get from Qgiv and whatever fundraising platform you use, and kind of apply it to your fundraising strategies to make them more successful. All right, the first thing I understand is a big challenge for a lot of nonprofits is kind of Frankensteining some reports. So if you are pulling a list of, or a data list from your online fundraising platform and maybe your volunteer management platform, and then you're trying to kind of cram that into a format that your email service will use, that's what I mean by Frankensteining reports. So a lot of people that I talk to have these kind of stitched together processes. And the biggest problem with this stitched together processes is that they require a lot of different steps. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of energy, and we have some tools that can help. The first thing we really have is simple tools, and they can give you a high-level overview of what's been going on in your account. So some things that you can look at, obviously there are transaction activities and recurring payments. I think it's really handy that you can look at users and donors who are new ones, who are at risk, so donors who have given to you in the last 9 months but haven't given since then, and then lapsed donors, so donors who haven't given to you in the last year. You can also look at donations and event registrations. So those are kind of the simple things that everyone should be able to pretty easily pull regardless of what you're using, but you can take things a little further. So you can pull together very specific reports without kind of Frankensteining them. So you may want to look at event registrations that were processed today, or people who have given to you for the first time in the last week. If you're trying to move into a donor retention strategy, or this is really good for right now, if you're getting ready to launch your year-end fundraising campaign, you can pull a list of donors who gave last year but haven't given this year and start kind of warming up those donors as you prepare to send them a year-end ask. And then the cool thing is that once you have put together all of these kind of custom options and filters, you can save these filter sets as custom reports so you can access them again later instead of building them from scratch every time. That is really easy. I always joke that if I can do it, you can do it, because if you know me very well at all, you know that I get a little flustered when I have to use Excel. So here's how you do it. First, you choose a report to run. So if you are a Qgiv user, you know that these are only a few of the reports that you can pull. And then you set the filters and parameters you want. So you can set things like the date range you want to look at, or the restriction or donation form you want to look at. You can save it, and then you just go into the custom reporting area of your Qgiv organization level dashboard and run those reports anytime. And then once you have that data handy, there are almost limitless possibilities for what you can do with it. I know that one of the big things our clients like to use this for is anticipating last-minute event registrations. We know that a lot of people tend to register for their events that you're putting on kind of in the last 24 to 48 hours before the cutoff. So you can look at those. You can start putting together a great welcome email for new donors, or you can reach out and try to re-engage lapsed or at-risk donors. You can also clean out your CRM, which can be really useful. I know a lot of you have CRM accounts or client relationship management accounts where you have a limited number of contacts that you can include before you start to be charged an extra level. So what you can do is you can look at your lapsed donors, and if you've decided not to pursue this anymore, maybe if they haven't given to you in the last 2 years, you can use that to save some money by cleaning out your CRM. I show you all these examples just because there are a ton of opportunities for you to use this data effectively. And I know that none of you are running exactly the same events or have exactly the same donor bases with the same patterns. So what I want to push here is that using these custom reports can help you do so much more than just get a list of names. It can really help you streamline your activities and could save you money if you're able to clean out your CRM so you don't have to upgrade to the next kind of data level. I don't know about you. I am not a fan of statistics. I have to run them once a month, and it's one of my least favorite things to do. I find them super draining because they are not easy for me. However, it can be easy for you with the Qgiv tools that I'm going to talk to you about. So I think all of us know the significance of having good, strong, valuable data. But sometimes getting that data and getting it in a format that's easy for you to understand and apply to your fundraising can be kind of tough. That is why we have what we call our advanced statistics. And these advanced stats are all available in your dashboard if you have your data package turned on. Some of them do require a year of fundraising data, and this is why. So when you use these advanced stats, you can look at things like the number of new donors that you've acquired over the last year. That's really helpful when you're comparing your year-over-year growth. You can look at your number of lapsed or at-risk donors, which is super handy, especially because you can compare it to industry benchmarks. So if you are running a 30% donor retention rate, you're doing great. The average in the industry is only 46%. But if you see that your donor retention is up around 50% or higher, you know that there's room for improvement. So you can always kind of use those advanced statistics to gauge how you're performing and where you can improve. You can also look at your donor lifetime value. And I'm just curious, will you type yes in the questions box if you track your donor lifetime value? I'm very interested to see what that is. So your donor lifetime value, for those of you who don't track it, is the amount of money a donor gives to you during their time supporting your nonprofit. The reason it's important to understand that is because it helps you understand how effective your marketing is. So, oh good, someone said they absolutely do track that, and that's wonderful. It's a very important statistic. So if you are spending $50 for every new donor you pull into your donor database, but they're only donating around $30 before they lapse, you're effectively losing money every time you bring someone into your fold. So you can do a couple things. You can encourage them and look for ways to ask them to donate a little more. And you can look at ways to reduce the cost you spend acquiring donors. This is a really important statistic that not a lot of people really pay attention to. I'm so excited that some of you really are tracking it because it's very important. But this is pretty easily accessible to you. You can also look at your number of one-time and recurring donors, which is also helpful, especially if you are getting a recurring donation kind of system up and running. And then you can also look at the account segment performance. And what that really is you can identify how much your average donor tends to give. And that's really helpful if you are looking for ways to kind of tailor your appeals. If you have ever had the quandary when putting together an appeal, you don't know if you should ask your donors for $50, maybe you should ask them for $75, maybe you should only ask them for $30. Looking at the amount segment performance there can be really helpful. if you look at that and see that your average donor gives between $20 and $40, you're not going to ask them for a gift of $100. You may want to ask them for a gift of $50. But also, if you have an average donor donation of $100, you're not going to ask them for $30. So looking at that segment performance can be super helpful. And it's really easy. So most of these statistics are available if you've been running Qgiv for a year, because you have to have a year's worth of data to look at some of these. You can't gauge whether or not a donor is lapsed yet, if they've had that 9-month gap between their first donation and their next one, if you've only been using the system for 3 months. So once you have that kind of year of data in there, you can go into your Qgiv dashboard and choose the advanced level or the advanced statistics. This is kind of what you'll see. This is actually something that I pulled from a real life dashboard that I run on my own, and you can get a high level view of those advanced statistics. You can see them kind of laid out the way they are here. And then if you want to really dive into your different advanced statistics, you can run a report for each of them that gives you all of the little details that go into the stats that you see on your donation or on your organization dashboard. So that's a really handy tool, and it's super useful. You can use this to identify trends and apply them to all different kinds of campaigns. You can use it to understand what attracts your donors. You can use it as a basis to kind of launch outreach to lapsed donors. Tammy asked, what is an at-risk donor? An at-risk donor is someone who is at risk of becoming a lapsed donor. And then the Qgiv system, the way we identify those, we look at all of your donors, and we look at people who are donors who gave at a start point but haven't given within 9 months. So if you don't retain them or if you don't re-engage them, by the 12-month mark, they move from an at-risk donor to a lapsed donor. You can also use this as a way to identify those at-risk donors. You can even pull a list and kind of reach out to them and say, hey, you gave X number of months ago. This is what your money has accomplished. We would love to invite you to join us by donating again. You can also use these statistics to kind of inform your communication strategies and your marketing strategies. And then you can also gauge the investment that you're putting into your marketing strategies and how well that's paying off for you. I'm curious to see this. How many of you have been peppered with requests of someone's giving history, especially around tax time when people are claiming those? Let me know if you've ever had that happen. I know the organization that I work with, I volunteer on and serve as a board member for a local nonprofit. We get these all the time, especially with people who are kind of on the ball with their tax filing and who choose to file itemized returns. We will have people ask us for a summary of all the gifts they've given over the last year, and that can be extremely intimidating. You can tell I had fun with this slide. Pretend you are sitting in your office, it's a dark and stormy night, it's tax season, which is everyone's favorite season, and your email dings, and it is someone asking you for their whole giving history. Providing them that information is actually very simple in the Qgiv system. And this is what it looks like. All you have to do is go to the reporting area of your dashboard and choose donor summary. And then you can look up either the names of donors. So if Abby Jarvis calls and asks you specifically for my giving history, that's awesome. Or if you just want to send a summary of everyone who donated in a particular quarter or a year, you can send those. We show you this really handy interface where you can create an email that your donors will receive, and they'll receive the summary as an attachment. This is especially handy for those of you who live in states who require all of these different receipts and giving histories to be attached as PDFs. I know that is also very common up in Canada and some other states. And then, of course, you can preview and send the summaries right from that dashboard. So if any of you are struggling with putting together those giving histories and kind of parsing through spreadsheets and pulling out transaction details and then putting those all into a different file, this can be really handy for you. All right, I know that a lot of you take lots of donations to your organization offline. And for many people that I've spoken to, that can provide a real challenge because all those checks and credit card slips and cash all need to be applied to specific campaigns, and that can be kind of a struggle. So we're going to make those offline donations a no-brainer by making it really easy for you to track those donations in your Qgiv account, even though they aren't processed through your Qgiv account. This is especially important right now as we are moving into the holiday fundraising season. We know about 1/3 of all donors prefer to give either in person or over the phone, and we want to make sure that you can track those donations very easily and make sure they are reflected in the right areas. So what you can do, pretend Bill is calling in and he wants to make a gift to you. Maybe he sends you a check or hands you some cash or even donates over the phone. Once you take that information, plug it into the handy little virtual terminal, his gift is going to be reflected in all the places that you need it to be reflected. So if you're running a Giving Tuesday campaign and he donates to that campaign, you can attribute his donation to your overall campaign goal, and it will show up in your thermometer even if it was processed offline. It also does the same thing if people are donating this way to peer-to-peer fundraisers or if they are giving to you at in-person events. If you are using one of our Fund Hub pages, that's a way for you to track different pages and events and donation forms all in one area that can all be nested under one campaign. So if you're running a year-end fundraising campaign and you have 2 different donation forms and a peer-to-peer event and a kind of goal-based thermometer campaign, you can track all of those in one little Fund Hub so you can see your progress towards your overall goal. Those offline gifts also show up in reports when you process them this way. So if Bill gave you a cash gift and then in April he calls you and asks for a donor summary, his cash gift will appear there as well. This is pretty straightforward, and we have this really handy upload tool. What you can do is you can upload batches of these cash and check donations to your account. And in this area, you can also enter some memos and some donor information. So if Bill gave you a $200 cash gift when you were having lunch together at the local coffee shop, you can make a note in that upload, and then you can send him a much more relevant, personalized follow-up when the time comes. Or what you can do is you can process these gifts yourself. So this is a great opportunity for you to kind of track safely and process safely over the phone donations. So if Michelle calls and wants to make a gift to you with her credit card, you don't want to write down her credit card number. It's not very safe. What you can do is you can take that gift over the phone or in person using a virtual terminal. That's really helpful when you are taking an in-person donation, maybe when you're out to lunch, or if you have someone come into your office. If you want to take on-site gifts at events, or if you are, I'm trying to think of examples that people are doing in person right now, but in the age of COVID, we're doing that less and less. Or if you get a surprise donation from someone, maybe you get one of those beautiful things that all nonprofits dream about and you get a surprise check in the mail. You can account for that here. The other thing you can do with this data package is you can kind of unwrap your donors' preferences. I know I hear from a lot of nonprofit fundraisers that they kind of wish they could read their donors' minds and get a little insight into what inspires them and what they prefer and how they want to be communicated with. And we have some tools that will really help you read their minds. I wish I had a mind reader or fortune teller image, but I don't. I have this little guy. We know that there are so many articles and webinars and ebooks and research studies on how to engage your donors, how to talk to them, how to build donation forms. And I know that for a fact because I've written a lot of those ebooks and articles and I do the webinars. But you're different. Your organization has a unique mission and you have a special donor base, and no 2 organizations are going to have donors that are motivated by and enthusiastic about the same things. So we have this really cool tool called the form comparison tool that you can use to kind of get an insider's look at what your donors prefer. So you can look at a few different things. You can see whether or not donors are more likely to give if you include an impact statement next to the suggested gift amounts, or you can compare last year's summer fundraising event to this year's summer fundraising event. And you can do this by taking just a really few simple steps. You can kind of take these two forms, put them side by side, and compare them one over the other. So if you had a campaign that you ran last year, you can combine, or you can look at those two forms next to each other. You can also run A/B tests here, which if some of you are data nerds like I am, is really fun. You can make two forms that have a slight difference in between them. You can run them side by side and then compare them to see which form your donors prefer. And then you can look at successful forms and successful events and look and see if they have anything in common with each other that you can then apply to your other fundraising forms. Comparing your forms is very simple. If you go to your organization's main dashboard, you can choose the form comparison tool from the little drop down that you have up there. This is what it looks like right up here. And then you can choose the forms you want to compare, set the dates you want to look at, and then check to see what your forms look like. Did one perform better than the other? Did one of them get higher overall donation amounts? Did one of them get more donations of smaller amounts? So you can kind of see in this example here, in the image in the form on the left, I didn't raise as much as the form on the right. The form on the right had more transactions made and the average gift was higher. So if I was looking at these two, I could kind of deduce that the form on the right is more appealing to donors. And then I could look at specific elements that I think are most appealing to donors and then apply them to my other forms. Understanding your donors' preferences is really important because it can help you tweak your donation forms to perform better than they ever have. So you can try new things. And then I know if you're like me, a lot of marketing or fundraising is trying new things and iterating upon them. And this makes it really easy for you to track and quantify what is working and what isn't. You can experiment with design elements and with pictures and with whether or not you include impact statements. You can do all kinds of tweaking and experimentation. Use this tool to see what works, see what doesn't, and then identify what does work and apply it to your other forms and events. This is one of my favorite tools. This is another one. If some of you, let me know if you just totally love data entry. I am not a fan. I used to do a ton of data entry before I worked at Qgiv. I used to dream about spreadsheets when I went to sleep. I don't know a lot of people who love it. And now all of that manual data entry can kind of be taken off your plate. We hate data entry at Qgiv. A lot of us do anyway, and that's why we love our different integrations. And we've got a ton of different integrations that can make your life a little easier. You can set your integrations to update your CRM. You can track donors' engagement with different fundraising campaigns, and then you can use the information that you have and the data that you have. Use that data, spread it to your other platforms and services using our integrations, and then send fundraising emails and communications that will be relevant to donors, that will inspire them to give. I included this just because I know how valuable your time is. Our friend Michelle over at the Spay and Neuter Kansas City organization let us know that they set up an integration between their account and their Donor Perfect account, and they saved a ton of time, 14 to 17 days of time to be specific at the time we talked to her, by just having that information manually move from, or not manually, automatically move from Qgiv to Donor Perfect. You can set that sync to be manual if that's something that would make you more comfortable, but you can also just set it up to be automated. You don't have to touch it. It shows up automatically, and you can save all that time. We have lots of integrations with some of the top CRMs in the industry. This is kind of a glimpse at our most popular integrations. If you use something else, let us know. We can probably help you out. You can also use our email service integrations to move lists and groups of donors from your fundraising solution, Qgiv, to your email service. So if you want to reach out to all of the donors who've given to you in the past month, and you want to do that by sending out a really great newsletter through MailChimp, we can certainly help you do that. If you are a bookkeeper or if you have bookkeeping staff, we do have an integration with Intuit QuickBooks. And if we don't have any of the integrations you're looking for, you can set up a custom integration with a tool called Zapier. Qgiv uses Zapier for all kinds of things. What you can do is you can set up a Zap that will move your Qgiv data into the solution that you're using. It's a slightly manual process at first. You kind of build everything and then you can just set it and let it go. This is a really high level overview of all of the tools that we include in our data package. I've included some other inclusion or other tools here. And this is the cost of that. If you pay quarterly, pay $10 a month quarterly, and that's billed once, so it'd be $30 a quarter, or you can pay it monthly. But I have great news because, oh, look, I'm missing a one. You can try this free until 2021. We know that this year has been very challenging for a lot of you. We know that you are having to adjust and do a lot of different fundraising steps or running a lot of different campaigns differently. You're moving them to virtual campaigns instead of in-person campaigns. And we know how important it is for you to be able to track what's working and what isn't. So the data package is free until 2021. If you are a Qgiv user, let us know that you'd like to get that set up and we can help you do it. If you're not a Qgiv user, we can absolutely help you out and get you talking to the right person and get you set up with these tools. I'm going to take any questions that you have. I know I just threw a ton of information at you, so please let me know if you have any questions. Do we have an integration with Ariba? Just coming from Natalie. Natalie, as far as I know right now, we do not, but we do always track requests for integrations. So if you're using Qgiv and you're using Ariba, I have a couple of things that you can do. One, let us know what you're using and that you would like an integration. We track all of those requests, and our users' requests always play into our roadmap building. So when we sit down with our development team and we plan what new projects we're going to take, we have a list of all the requests that have been made. So let us know that you want to integrate with Ariba. The other thing you can do, if you would like to kind of set up an easy way to move information from Qgiv into Ariba, we can help you with that. We have a data mapping tool that will help you download the data that you need, map it to the correct forms, and then upload it to Ariba. So it's not an entirely automated system, but we can help you save a lot of time. Kayla asked if there is going to be an integration with Little Green Light. Kayla, I know that is an increasingly popular platform. I am reluctant to say, so no, I know that right now there's not an integration with that program. I want to say that is something that we have had requested before, and all of that is being tracked. So again, if you're using Qgiv and you want an integration with Little Green Light, let us know. We will track that. We do track every single request that comes in, and then let us know. We do have a number of other clients who are using Little Green Light, and our customer experience team can help you figure out how to move data from our system into your system, and we can even maybe let you know what's working for some of the other people who are using Little Green Light. So unless you have any other questions, I'm really glad that I got to talk to you about some of these tools. Let me know if you have any questions that you think of in the future. You can email me at abby.jarvis@qgiv.com. You can also just reply to the follow-up email I'm going to send you. I'm going to send you a link to this recording. I'm going to send you some other resources that you can use as you learn what data you can pull from Qgiv and how you can use it. So if you do think of a question, let me know. If I can't get you an answer, I will get you to someone who can. All right, everyone, you have been great today. Thank you for joking around with me and tolerating my Halloween puns. This is my favorite time of year. I hope it is one of your favorite times of year. And I just wanted to give you a little encouraging word as you move into the crazy year in fundraising. I know you're going to do great. If you have any questions about how Qgiv can help, let me know. And know that we are cheering for you. All right, keep an eye on your inbox for that follow-up email. I will talk to you all very soon. Have a good day.